The rumor reached him 3 hours before landing, which was exactly enough time for it to burrow into his brain and redecorate the place with panic. They consume their partners after bonding. That was the translated line. No context. No footnote. Just that sentence blinking on his tablet like a legal disclaimer written by a sadist. He reread it for the 15th time, hoping the words would rearrange themselves into something comforting. They did not. Consume still meant consume. Partners still meant, well, him. Okay, he muttered, tightening his harness as the shuttle dipped toward the glowing sprawl of the Vulpine capital. Consume could mean, emotionally, spiritually, metaphorically. His translator chimed helpfully. Consume, to eat, devour, absorb, overwhelm, dominate socially, outlast. He stared at the list. Outlast, he whispered. Let's focus on outlast. But his imagination had already sprinted in the opposite direction. He pictured sharp teeth. Ceremonial platters. A polite alien host asking if he preferred seasoning. He scrolled through the cultural briefing. Most of it was normal diplomatic fluff, greeting rituals, eye contact etiquette, gift exchanges. Then another line caught his eye. Bonding dinners are intimate endurance exchanges designed to evaluate compatibility. Endurance. He swallowed. Evaluate compatibility for what? He asked the empty cabin. The tablet did not elaborate. Of course it didn't. Why would it ever elaborate on the part that sounded like a survival trial disguised as dinner? The shuttle landed with a gentle hiss. Through the viewport, he saw them waiting. Vulpine. Tall, elegant, fur that shimmered between copper and gold under the station lights. Their ears flicked with subtle intelligence. Their smiles were very toothy. Oh no, he breathed. The hatch opened. Warm air filled with unfamiliar spice drifted in. At the front of the welcoming party stood his assigned host. She stepped forward with smooth confidence, tail swaying lazily behind her. Her eyes locked onto his with playful curiosity. Diplomat Harris, she said, her voice silky even through the translator. We've been looking forward to, savoring your visit. Savoring. His spine straightened like someone had yanked a cord. Savoring, he repeated weakly. Great. Love, being savored. Her ears perked in what he hoped was amusement, and not anticipation. She extended a clawed hand. He shook it carefully, acutely aware of how easily those claws could, participate in consumption. You must be hungry after travel, she continued warmly. We'll make sure you're well prepared. Well prepared. His brain screamed. He stammered. Actually ate before landing. Big meal. Very filling. Her smile widened. Good, she purred. We prefer our guests filling. He laughed. It came out like a squeaky cough. Fantastic. Perfect. He was apparently a walking entree with diplomatic clearance. They walked through the terminal, her stride relaxed, his increasingly stiff. Everywhere he looked, Vulpine citizens glanced his way with open curiosity. A few whispered. One nudged another and said something that the translator helpfully rendered as, "That's the one she's entertaining tonight." Entertaining. His heartbeat doubled. He leaned closer to his host. So entertaining, he said carefully. That's like games? Conversation? Her tail flicked. Oh yes, she said. We test stamina, creativity, tolerance. It's very revealing. Tolerance for what? He screamed internally. Out loud he managed. Sounds intense. She laughed, a bright, melodic sound. Only if you're not prepared. Not prepared. He mentally inventoried his preparation. He had diplomatic credentials, a formal suit, and a protein bar in his pocket. None of those felt like adequate anti-consumption equipment. They reached a transport platform. She gestured for him to step inside a sleek carriage. He hesitated, eyeing the enclosed space like it was a gourmet steamer. You're safe, she said, amused. I don't bite, without invitation. He froze. The translator repeated it, slower, as if to make sure he suffered properly. I don't bite, without invitation. He stepped inside on pure autopilot. The carriage hummed to life. She sat across from him, posture relaxed, eyes studying him with interest that he absolutely did not overanalyze. Not at all. Definitely not. You seem tense, she observed. Diplomatic excitement. He lied. First impressions. Cultural exchange. Not wanting to be consumed by anxiety. She grinned. We appreciate enthusiasm. Tonight will tell us much about you. Tonight again. Tonight, he echoed faintly. Right. The bonding dinner. Her ears lifted. You've read ahead. Good. Many underestimate the experience. Underestimate. Experience. Bonding. Consume. His mind assembled the words into a horror montage. So, he ventured. Purely academic question, what happens if someone doesn't last? Her eyes gleamed. They're remembered fondly, she said. Fondly. His obituary practically wrote itself. He imagined tomorrow's diplomatic briefing. Human envoy, fondly remembered. Delicious. He forced a smile so tight it hurt. Well, he said, voice wobbling. I'm known for lasting. Her gaze sharpened with approval. We'll see, she said softly. The carriage slowed. Outside, towering structures glowed with warm light. Laughter and music drifted through the air. It looked festive. Welcoming. Predatory. She stood and offered her hand again. Rest, she said. Prepare. Tonight we dine properly. Dine properly. He stepped out on shaky legs, every instinct screaming that he was walking willingly into a beautifully catered trap. But beneath the fear, something stubborn flickered. He was humanity's representative. If this was a ritual of endurance, whatever that actually meant, he would endure. He would not be outlasted, outmaneuvered, or outconsumed. Even if the menu still felt suspiciously personal. He squared his shoulders. Okay, he muttered to himself as she led him toward his quarters. You're not prey. You're a diplomat. A professional. A very nervous professional who is absolutely not thinking about being seasoned. His translator chimed again, unhelpfully surfacing another glossary note. Vulpine phrase. To devour a guest. Meaning, to overwhelm socially with hospitality. He stopped walking. Socially, he repeated. She glanced back. Problem? He shook his head too quickly. Nope. Just mentally preparing to be overwhelmed. Her smile was radiant. We're very good at that, she said. He believed her. And as the doors slid open and warm light spilled out to welcome him, he took a steady breath, stepped forward, and silently promised himself one thing. Whatever consumption meant tonight, he was going to survive it. He woke up convinced it was his last full day as an uneaten man. The room was comfortable, suspiciously comfortable. Plush seating, warm lighting, a tray of neatly arranged food labeled light pre-consumption refreshments. He stared at the label. They're not even hiding it, he whispered. The translator chimed politely. Pre-consumption, ceremonial preparation meal. Ceremonial preparation for what? He hissed. He poked the food like it might bite first. It smelled incredible. That felt like a trap. Delicious bait. He imagined a nature documentary voice narrating his fate. Observe the human diplomat. He approaches the platter, unaware he is tenderizing himself. He sighed and took a bite. Okay, well, he admitted. If this is how I go, at least they're good cooks. A chime sounded. His tablet lit up with a message from his host. Rest well? Tonight will be demanding. Pace yourself. Pace yourself. He clutched the tablet like it had personally insulted him. I am pacing myself, he muttered. I've been pacing since orbit. Another message popped in. Remember, hydration is key to lasting. He nearly dropped the tablet. Lasting? He whispered, shouted. Why is everyone obsessed with how long I last? He splashed water on his face, and stared at his reflection. "You are a professional," he told the mirror. "You are not being eaten. Probably. This is cultural. Diplomatic. Maybe mildly predatory. But cultural." His reflection did not look convinced. He stepped outside his quarters and immediately ran into two Vulpine attendants arranging decorations. They brightened when they saw him. "Oh, the guest of honor," one said. "We've heard tonight will be intense," added the other. He smiled weakly. "That's what I keep hearing." The first attendant leaned in conspiratorially. "Tip," she whispered. "Don't go too hard in the beginning. Many guests burn out early." Burn out early. His brain supplied a vivid image of him being metaphorically, or literally, roasted. "Great," he said faintly. "Love pacing tips." The second attendant flicked her ears sympathetically. "Just remember," she said, "it's not about speed, it's about endurance." He nodded slowly. "Sure," he replied. "Endurance. Obviously." He walked away on autopilot, the word echoing in his skull like a drumbeat. Endurance, endurance, endurance. He ducked into a quiet corridor and pulled up his translator glossary again, frantically searching. "Consume, devour, bonding," he muttered. A new entry caught his eye. Bonding dinner, social ritual of competitive storytelling and drinking meant to establish mutual respect. He froze. "Storytelling?" he said. The entry continued. Participants attempt to outlast one another through escalating emotional narratives and ceremonial beverages. He blinked. "That's it?" he asked the tablet. "That's the big scary ritual?" The tablet remained smugly silent. Relief flooded him, followed immediately by suspicion. "No," he said. "Too easy. There's a second meaning. There's always a second meaning." He scrolled further. Cultural note: phrases involving consumption are metaphorical expressions of admiration and social dominance. He exhaled slowly. "So, they're not going to eat me," he said. Then he frowned. "They're just going to socially devour me." Honestly? That felt only slightly better. His tablet chimed again. "Meet me in the lounge. We'll warm up before tonight." Warm up. He trudged to the lounge like a man approaching a trial by beverage. His host was already there, lounging comfortably with two glowing glasses. She handed him one. "Practice," she said. "Sip. Feel the burn. Let it settle." He sniffed it. The liquid shimmered ominously. "If I dissolve," he said, "tell Earth I tried." She laughed. "You humans are dramatic." He took a sip. His soul left his body, took a lap, and came back wearing sunglasses. "OH," he gasped. That's aggressive." Her tail swayed approvingly. "Good. You'll need that tolerance tonight." He coughed. "How long does this ritual usually last?" She tilted her head. "Until someone yields," she said casually. "Yields?" he croaked. "Admits defeat. Falls asleep. Loses narrative coherence." He pictured himself face down on the table, slurring diplomatic apologies. "Has anyone ever died?" he asked carefully. She stared at him. "From storytelling?" she said. He shrugged. "You never know." She laughed again, shaking her head. "You really thought we were going to eat you?" she realized. He avoided her gaze. "Define thought," he muttered. Her grin was merciless. "Oh, this is going to be fun," she said. He wasn't sure if that reassured him or terrified him more. They spent the next hour warming up, which turned out to mean drinking increasingly intense beverages while telling progressively ridiculous stories. She described a political scandal involving ceremonial tail braiding that somehow escalated into a duel. He countered with a story about a human office microwave that had been declared sentient by committee vote. She stared at him, stunned. "You're joking," she said. "I wish," he replied. "We held hearings." Her ears twitched. "You humans are alarming," she said with admiration. He felt a flicker of pride. Maybe he could survive this. Another attendant passed by and gave him a respectful nod. Good luck tonight, she said. I hear you're planning to go all night. He choked on his drink. I am not planning, I mean I might, strategically, that's not. His host was laughing so hard she nearly spilled her glass. You're going to do fine, she assured him. Just remember, breathe, pace, and commit to the story. He nodded, steadying himself. Okay. So they weren't going to eat him. They were just going to try to outdrink and outstory him in front of an audience. Which, honestly, felt like a different kind of death. But this was humanity. Endurance was practically a personality trait. He straightened. I can last, he said. She smirked. We'll see, she replied. And for the first time since landing, he smiled back, nervous, determined, and fully aware that tonight he was about to be socially devoured. And he intended to make it a fight. By the time the ritual began, he had accepted two truths. 1. He was not going to be physically eaten. 2. What was about to happen might still finish him. The hall buzzed with energy, laughter, overlapping voices, glasses clinking in rhythmic patterns that sounded suspiciously like a countdown. Every Vulpine in attendance watched him with warm curiosity, and the unmistakable excitement of spectators waiting for a challenger to step into the ring. His host guided him to the center table. Remember, she said softly, sliding a glowing glass toward him. Pace yourself. There it was again. Pace yourself. He nodded like a soldier receiving final orders. The first glass went down smoother than expected. Warmth bloomed in his chest, steady and electric. Not bad. He could handle this. He'd survived human weddings. He'd attended 3 corporate holiday parties in one night once. This was just interstellar peer pressure. A Vulpine elder raised her glass. To endurance, she declared. The crowd echoed her. To endurance! He drank. The second glass hit harder. His ears rang pleasantly. The room softened around the edges. He still had control, mostly. Probably. The elder pointed at him. Story, she commanded with a grin. Right. Storytelling duel. Emotional endurance. Social devouring. He cleared his throat. Okay, he began. Once upon a time, humanity invented a meeting. That could have been an email. The translator related. Silence followed. Then the entire table erupted. Vulpine tails whipped back and forth in disbelief. You're lying, someone gasped. I swear, he said. 8 humans in a room. 90 minutes. No decisions. A horrified murmur spread. That's barbaric, another Vulpine said. His host leaned in, eyes shining. Continue, she urged. Consume us. He grinned. Oh, he liked that phrasing now. He escalated. Office politics. Printer malfunctions. The universal terror of group projects where one person did nothing and still got credit. Each story hit like a shockwave. The Vulpine audience howled, groaned, and drank to cope with the psychological damage. His third glass arrived. He hesitated. His host smirked. Already slowing? Oh no, he said, offended. I'm just strategizing. He drank. The warmth turned into a confident roar in his bloodstream. His fear had evaporated, replaced by the dangerous optimism of a man who believed he could absolutely keep going forever. A Vulpine challenger stepped forward. My turn, she announced. I will break him. The crowd oohed. She began a dramatic tale of a ceremonial feast that spiraled into a political scandal involving mislabeled sauces. Alliances shattered. Families divided. Someone eloped mid-dessert. He stared, captivated. That's incredible, he admitted. She leaned forward. Yield, she purred. He slammed his glass down. Never. His counter-story involved a human internet argument that lasted 6 years and ended with both participants forgetting what they were fighting about. The Vulpine challenger physically recoiled. Monster, she whispered. The crowd cheered. Glass after glass arrived. Stories escalated. A Vulpine recounted a tale of emotional betrayal so intense that half the audience clutched their chests. He answered with the saga of assembling flat-pack furniture without instructions. Gasps. No, someone breathed. That's impossible. I survived, he said proudly. Barely. The elder raised her glass. This human refuses to be consumed. The chant caught on. Refuses to be consumed. Refuses to be consumed. He felt 10 feet tall. Damn right, he shouted, immediately regretting how loud that was. The room tilted slightly. Not dangerously. Just suggestively. His host leaned close. How are you holding up? She asked. I am, he declared with heroic slurring. Operating at peak diplomacy. She laughed. You're swaying. That's tactical balance, he insisted. Another challenger stepped in. Bigger. Dramatic. Clearly a heavyweight storyteller. I will end this, the challenger proclaimed. She launched into an epic generational feud involving inheritance, pride, and a pastry so controversial it had to be banned. The audience sat in stunned silence. He felt the pressure. The ritual demanded escalation. Endurance. Emotional devastation. He reached deep into humanity's collective suffering. Okay, he said slowly. Let me tell you about customer service. The challenger faltered. He described automated menus. Hold music. Being transferred 17 times. Explaining the same problem to 6 different humans. By the end, the Vulpine challenger was pale. I yield, she whispered. The room exploded. He raised his glass in shaky triumph and drank, most of it. Some missed. No one mentioned it. That felt diplomatic. Time blurred into a montage of laughter, disbelief, and increasingly dramatic declarations of survival. His stories got wilder. Their reactions got louder. At some point, he realized the room was chanting his name. Or something that sounded like his name. Close enough. His host steadied him as he swayed again. You're still standing, she said, impressed. Of course, he replied. I said I'd last. She smirked. Most guests fold by now. He puffed up with pride. I am humanity, he announced. We invented stubborn. Another glass appeared. He stared at it. This was the moment. The line. The point where endurance became legend, or a cautionary tale. The crowd leaned in. He lifted the glass. For diplomacy, he said. He drank. The universe briefly rebooted. When his vision returned, the room was silent. Every Vulpine watched him like he just performed a miracle. The elder stepped forward. He endures, she declared. He stands unconsumed. Thunderous applause. His host raised his arm like a champion fighter. Victory, she announced. He tried to bow. It came out as a controlled wobble. I would like, he said carefully, to sit now. They guided him into a chair amid cheers and reverent murmurs. You nearly broke them, someone whispered. You are terrifying, said another. His host crouched beside him, smiling warmly. You didn't just survive, she said. You devoured the room. He blinked. Socially? He asked. Socially, she confirmed. He relaxed into the chair, triumphant and very, very done. He had come expecting teeth. Instead, he had faced storytelling warfare, ceremonial beverages, and the full force of alien hospitality. And somehow, he had lasted. He woke up with the confidence of a champion and the headache of a man who had personally offended several laws of chemistry. For a long moment, he didn't open his eyes. He simply lay there, cataloging sensations. Dry mouth. Heavy limbs. Soul slightly out of alignment. I survived, he croaked. Memory rushed back in flashes. Cheering Vulpine voices, raised glasses, the chant about refusing to be consumed, His heroic declaration about inventing stubborn. He smiled weakly. Still alive. Still uneaten. He opened one eye. The room looked normal. Mercifully stationary. A glass of water sat beside the bed with a small card. For the one who endured. He drank it like a pilgrim discovering salvation. A soft chime followed. His tablet lit up with notifications. Lots of them. He squinted. Messages poured in from Vulpine contacts he didn't remember making. Legendary performance. You broke 3 challengers. We are still emotionally recovering. Please never tell the furniture story again. He smiled. Then he saw the headline from the local cultural feed. Human diplomat refuses consumption, earns respect of the den. He blinked. That's dramatic, he murmured. Another message arrived from his host. Breakfast? You've become a celebrity. Try not to pass out. He groaned, sat up slowly, and immediately reconsidered sitting up. No sudden heroics, he muttered. He shuffled through his morning routine with the care of a bomb technician. Every movement negotiated. Every step deliberate. When he stepped outside, conversation died instantly. Dozens of Vulpine heads turned. He froze. They stared with open admiration. One approached cautiously, like he might explode. You endured, she said reverently. I did, he confirmed. Mostly by accident. Her ears twitched. Your resistance was inspiring. Thank you, he said. I have a lot of practice resisting bad decisions. Several nearby Vulpine nodded like this was profound philosophy. He found his host waiting with breakfast. She looked perfectly fine, which felt unfair. You're walking, she observed. Impressive. I'm fueled by pride and electrolyte water, he replied. She laughed. The den is still talking about you. I gathered, he said. I saw the headline. Very subtle. She smirked. You embarrassed 3 veteran storytellers. That hasn't happened in years. He poked at his food. I weaponized office trauma. It's effective. She leaned forward, amused. Do you know what they're calling you? He hesitated. I'm afraid to ask. The unconsumable. He choked on air. That sounds like a brand of cleaning solvent. He wheezed. It's a compliment, she said. I hope so, he muttered. Because I am extremely consumable. Just not socially, apparently. Breakfast passed in a haze of teasing and congratulations. Every few minutes, another Vulpine would approach to thank him for the stories or ask if human life was truly that chaotic. Yes, he assured them. We have entire industries built around coping. One younger Vulpine leaned in, eyes wide. Is it true, he whispered, that you once assembled furniture without guidance? He sighed. Yes. The Vulpine shook his head in awe. Terrifying. He accepted this as his legacy. Later, during a quieter moment, his host nudged his shoulder. So, she said, you really believe we were going to eat you? He groaned. Can we not revisit that? Oh, we're revisiting it, she said cheerfully. You were flinching every time someone said savor. In my defense, he replied, your phrasing is aggressive. She laughed. You humans take everything literally. Only when survival is on the line, he said. Which I assumed it was. She tilted her head. And yet you stayed. He considered that. I didn't want to disrespect the ritual, he admitted. Also, once I realized it was a competition, it became personal. Her grin softened. That's what impressed them. You weren't just enduring. You were engaging. He shrugged. If I'm going down, I'm telling a good story first. You didn't go down, she said. You stood. He felt a warm flicker of pride. Yeah, he said quietly. I guess I did. A notification chimed again. Another headline. Human entertains the den, lasts longer than any guest. He stared at it. That phrasing is still terrible, he muttered. She nearly spilled her drink laughing. It's tradition, she said. We celebrate endurance. Well, he replied, raising his glass of juice. Here's to endurance. And better translations. They clinked glasses. Throughout the day, the legend only grew. Vulpine citizens greeted him with respectful nods. A few reenacted moments from the storytelling duel with dramatic flair. He watched one exaggerated retelling of his customer service saga that ended with the storyteller fainting theatrically. That's not entirely inaccurate, he admitted. By evening, the excitement settled into warm familiarity. He sat with his host, watching the den hum with normal life again. No one's trying to consume me, he said thoughtfully. She smiled. Not tonight. He side-eyed her. You're joking. Mostly, she said. He laughed, shaking his head. You know, he said. Back on the shuttle, I was convinced this was the end. And now? She asked. Now I'm pretty sure I just attended the most intense dinner party of my life, he replied. And somehow won. You didn't just win, she said. You showed us something. What's that? He asked. That humans, she said, are impossible to intimidate once they decide to commit. He considered that, then nodded. Yeah, he said. That sounds right. A nearby group raised their glasses toward him. To the human, one called. To the one who would not be consumed, another added. He lifted his own glass. To misunderstanding, he said. And surviving it. They cheered. And as laughter filled the den, he relaxed into his seat, proud, relieved, and just a little amused at how close he'd come to panicking himself into diplomatic disaster. He'd arrived expecting teeth. He left with respect, a mild hangover, and a reputation as the human who lasted longer than anyone they'd entertained. Which he decided he was okay with.